इस बार चिल्ड्रंस डे पर आई नेक्स्ट करवा रहा है स्कूल्स में हेल्थ चेकअप।
Britannia Tiger presents iNext Health Meter in association with Radio Mantra. Selected schools के primary class के बच्चों को मिलेगा health report card and health score. तो अब चाहे दांत में दर्द हो या पेट में, सबको जाना होगा स्कूल। Britannia Tiger presents iNext Health Meter अब आपके शहर में। अब जानिए
क्या है आपके बच्चे का हेल्थ स्कोर।
So, क्या है आपके बच्चे का health score? This was a catch line because we thought that they'll be interested into knowing how good, what is the status of health of my kid. And this is very preemptive or proactive approach towards looking at the health. Otherwise, when they fall sick, then only we go to the doctor. Interestingly, so that this is the post-day coverage. After the post-event coverage, the very next day, we give due importance to this being a big activity, so that the schools also put it up as a poster and kind of promote it. Britannia, Indian Medical Association, and logistics, which was managed by iNext, this is how it got managed. So the result was that in a single day we did 73,482 students and distributed to them a health report card. And there were 3,000 teachers and 600 doctors who participated into it in 120 schools of 12 cities of 4 states. And this data which we collected, now the interesting thing is turned out to be a big content source for us. And at least for the next 8 days, it was extremely important for us to carry all this content in the newspaper in multiple formats. The kind of oral hygiene problem which were there. In fact, later on, the health ministry at Lucknow and the UP state asked us to provide that data because all that data was collated and we had it with us. And that turned out to be a model for them. This year we are discussing how can we replicate it at a larger level, and it could probably run as a government program or something like that. And then we also tried to highlight this amongst those parents who were not benefited by their kids directly going there. For instance, the 2 or 3 days later, after the data collation, this was how the coverage was. Issue was of weight problem, the overweight or underweight problem. At least 12% of the students were unfit onto the BMI index, and within that, if you see, almost 92% were 92% were overweight and 8% were underweight. So the overweight was a problem, and then suddenly the entire lifestyle and several such other things. And it triggered into a lot of discussions, which when the schools asked us, we said, please manage it on your own. This is the glimpses of the activity which were all across. It was almost like a fun fest, which is how it happened. And there was an interesting quote from the jury. It was very encouraging for us. I've mentioned it here, that the idea is to develop early the habit of staying fit and healthy, an effort which has been appreciated by teachers, parents, and readers in general. So this is how iNext does its scheme of things. And I hope this is interesting enough for you all. Thank you so much. If there are questions, any?
Do we have any questions or comments? I wanted to ask, go ahead. Just tell us who you are.
I am S.D.T. Rao from the Hindu. Here I would like to supplement what exactly now you told about your health meter. From Hindu, we do a lot of events, those things as a part of our corporate social responsibility. So we associate with various hospitals or doctors or clients, where in India especially, actually it has come out when there was an interaction with the doctor, the child blindness. So it is an increasing trend in the child blindness, where the student also may be not aware about that problem, and that will be not shared to the parents also. So we have identified that, and with the help of the doctors, so after the school reopens, so we are doing these things on a continuous basis in most of the places in the Hindu, of course in our region. And this was well appreciated, because the problems, actually the student unable to express to their parents, and even parents also not aware about the child's problem. And when we do this, at the report directly, it goes to the parent, then up to the parent to act immediately, to act upon it and rectify the problem of the kid.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I mean, and of course, as a newspaper, I believe the end objective also turns out to be to establish the bond with the readers that we are with you, or in print, outside print, or whatever. I mean, in that format, because that's very important. I mean, a lot of times I have seen within my organization, Jagran Prakashan, a lot of CSR objectives happen, wherein the business driving strategy probably takes a backseat. I suppose we need to be putting it in tandem with each other. And if it happens there in your organization, fantastic. Great.
I can tell you that the jury was deciding between whether this should be a brand entry or a public service entry. And it could go either way because there was a public service, such a strong public service element. And that's a good problem to have when you're when something really is a brand marketing effort that's also good for the community. So I hope that helps as well.
Yeah, I am Subramanyam from the Hindu. I wish to know, being a bilingual newspaper, what are some of the unique challenges you faced when you launched the product? Could you share with us?
See, the first was that the media industry, language media industry ostracized us. I mean, they said that what is it which you are doing? You know, the generalist of our organizations was looked down, and clears, communication. We had an edit piece in one of the dailies, important dailies. So we had to manage that first. We had to tell them that what you are doing is the most important thing and most relevant thing. So there was an environment creation. The second one was that there are a lot of words in English, when they are written in Devanagari, then they're very funny. When they are written in English, they look even more funny. So we suddenly don't know what to do with those words. So in the process, we identified the parallel of those words, which are easy to carry either in Hindi or in English. So in the process, we created almost about 2,000, 2,500 words lexicon, which can easily go and gel well without really, finding any, speed breaker or roadblock in terms of reading. That was, I think, significant one. And then we had to explain to most of the new journalists who had joined in that, they would narrate news in a certain manner, and when they would write it down, it will again go back to the same format, the kind of standard typical. I think finally we discovered that all journalists in this country can work with some 200 fixed words or probably about 20 different formats, and all news can be fitted into it. So the challenge was also figuring it out and decoding the new formats, and I think that really worked well for us. I think the organizational sincerity of Jagran Prakashan Limited to letting all this happen and safeguard us. One of my directors is sitting here, and I'm sure he would vouch for it, that it was very important for them as proprietors at this point of in time when this bizarre experiment was happening to protect and safeguard it, and can say this is something which is going to be important. Of course, later on the industry proved that, the readership responses and everything else proved that. So these were 2-3 challenges I think we faced.
Are you making money?
Oh, we are. We have already, in 2009, after 3 years, we had a break-even, and we've been making profits, and we are now contributing profit. In fact, this year we have launched 3 editions from our own profits. So this is now, and we have diversified into 3 businesses. We have launched an activation division, which also has a financial target. So all these activities will go into the activation division, which will be done for many more clients as in client solution providing. We have a web division, which is again done extensive research that if we touch upon the same set of audience, probably on some other forum, and it is extremely important to understand that their behavior is going to change drastically from print to web. So some of those houses which just translate a web into print into web and the similar kind of story is not going to work. It's very, very different. In fact, our composition of web edition is nowhere close to the print, and I think it looks like 2 very different products. They're like zebra and giraffe, if I may say. So I'm sure the profit is helping us to go into all that direction.